Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wildcat Dash, presented by Dash Sports TV. My name is Jacob Mennuti. I'm joined again by my co-host Ryan Wohl. Ryan, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. Can't wait to get to some exciting football talk.
Yeah, me too. So, let's just not waste any time. Let's just jump into it. Our first topic of today is Pro Football Focus. They released their preseason all conference teams this past week, and Arizona surprisingly was had a lot of names to it. It had seven to be exact, eight if you want to include linebacker Colin Schooler, who entered the transfer portal not too long ago. I'll run you through the list right now. You have quarterback Grant Gunnell and running back Gary Brightwell named to the second team. You've got center Josh McCauley and cornerback Lorenzo Burns, as well as corner Christian Roland Wallace named to the third team, and wide receiver Jamari Joyner and offensive lineman Robert Kungle named as an honorable mention. So, just to kind of put that into perspective, Athlon Sports also released their preseason all-conference team, and they only had five Arizona players. So, I mean, so Pro Football Focus, you could argue, is the more highly regarded media outlet, giving more praise to Arizona and also ranking Arizona players higher as well. Athlon Sports didn't have any Arizona players in its second team. Pro Football Focus had two. So, with all that being said, Ryan, is there a chance that Arizona has a few bright spots on this team and could potentially exceed their expectations this year?
Absolutely not. I believe that this team is gonna hit a downfall, losing the Schooler brothers, Tony Fields, and after all this stuff with COVID-19 forcing the players not to practice as much and the season being pushed back and not knowing when they will play again this year.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that the majority of the players named to these teams were all offensive players, right? Look, even if this offense ends up being pretty good and better than it was last year, the defense is still going to be a mess next season. We saw this exact situation play out last year for the Wildcats, where there was a productive offense and it was just being held back by the defense. And say what you want about Arizona's offense last season. We all remember watching it, as dysfunctional as it may have looked, and all those painful 3-and-outs to open up the games. Say what you want, but the Wildcats still finished top three in total passing yards, rushing yards, and receiving yards in the Pac-12. They averaged 440 yards per game, which was good enough for third in the Pac-12. So, say what you want, but the offense pulled its weight last season, as bad as it may have looked.
Yeah.
So, just the reality was the downfall of this team this last year was the defense. And I understand that there was a lot going against them last year. You had Marcel Yates being fired midway through the season. Um, they had to battle a bunch of injuries as well. But there were just so many times where they just gave up so many points. 56 points to Oregon State at home last season is inexcusable. 45 points to Hawaii in the opening week. You just can't do that. So,
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Like their offense, I do strongly believe that if they had a decent defense last year, I think they could have competed for the Pac-12 championship. Their offense at some points looked like unstoppable. Like even the first half of the Washington game at home, they looked great, and then the downfall proceeded to happen after halftime with their defense not coming through. Like these teams, like they're not going to get outplayed that much with their offensive play, because even last year with Khalil Tate, and now even their quarterback could be better with Grant Gunnell, some could say, could provide a different style of quarterback play with senior Gary Brightwell. Hopefully he can take a bigger approach in the backfield and lead this team.
yeah, and I will say this. I know we rag on the defense a lot, but part of their reason why they were so bad last year was the special teams. I don't think anybody wants to talk about how terrible Arizona's special teams were last season, but they were dreadful. Just punts were being shanked left and right, and even when you had a good punt, the return team the defense team would give up a 40-yard return, and they would just have insane field position to start. So the defense was on its back foot to start for most of the time, and the offense turned the ball over in its own half a lot last season. So to their credit, they did have a lot going against them, but they still could not get off the field when it mattered most. And I really think even if this offense ends up being good or even better than it was last year, the defense and the special units is just going to hold it back next season.
And
I don't
something
really
that's
see
a
them
key
being any
point to
better.
that, yeah, and it's something that's a key point to that is the defense has a lot of young players that are trying to grow, and as the coach said, it's Kevin Sumlin said it's going to be tough for these players to be integrated in the offense when they're trying to learn while coming in and out with the precautions that they're observing. Like it's very tough. Like for a young team like Arizona right now, to if they continue playing later in the year, to have a good season and maybe better than expected.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It even there's a lot of youth on this team, and all the veterans are on their way out, right? They lost Colin Schooler, they lost Scotty Young Jr., they lost Tony Fields. I mean, just the veterans are out the door, and they kind of left all the kids to kind of fend for themselves. So, I mean, what is Arizona's biggest weakness, do you think? I mean, I guess we kind of already talked about the defense, but I mean, what specifically on the defensive side do you think is really going to hold them back next season?
I think it's the linebacker position and the cornerback position. And next year, and especially years following, because a few of those guys you named on that Pro Football Focus list are on their a lot of those guys were juniors and seniors, and they're not young players. And that's gonna set us back and Arizona back years in the future, because it's hard to get these guys playing times. And before they canceled the season, Arizona's schedule was very tough. Like they had some very hard games playing USC at home. Then they were playing Cal, Oregon at home too. Like those aren't easy matchups anywhere.
Yeah, I don't see them exceeding expectations just simply because of that linebacker core and as well as their safeties in general. I mean, I think their corners are pretty solid. I think Lorenzo Burns and Christian Roland Wallace are two pretty solid corners. I think Christian Roland Wallace had kind of struggled his freshman year, but I think that was just because he was targeted a lot, playing alongside Jace Whitaker and Lorenzo Burns. You know, he was the baby to pick on, so I think a lot of people threw to him, and I think it was more volume as to why he was getting burnt a lot more. So I think we'll see him kind of make a big jump this season. But the safety position, I think, is really thin. We already talked about Scotty Young Jr. Departing from the team. He was third in total tackles. So now Arizona lost their top three tacklers on the defense. So I just don't know where that production is going to come from next season. And we talked about it last week about filling the linebacker core with safeties, but Arizona can't do that. They don't have the safety core to do that as well. So they're just incredibly thin.
And also, even if they try to do that, it's going to be very, very hard for guys to switch in and out of positions, like not knowing when they have playing time. Like that's just very, very hard for players to deal with. And I don't believe that they're gonna do well transferring to that.
No, I agree. I think a lot of them don't really fit the build or like the size of a linebacker. You know, it's one thing to kind of be, like in the right mindset to play inside linebacker, but you got to be big too, right? I mean, you're going to be playing in between the D tackles and all them. So I don't think Arizona has those guys, not only to necessarily, fill the role and just play it, but also, like be as big as them, and be a linebacker. So I really, it's going to be a lot of plug and play next season for the defense. And even if the offense is good, I just don't see this defense or special teams carrying the workload.
Yeah, I believe that. I agree.
Well, hopefully, the recruiting class can bring in some new guys to kind of help out with the shortages of the roster. I want to now talk about the 2021 recruiting class. Arizona's recruiting class now ranks 45th nationally and 6th in the Pac-12. I mean, Ryan, what are your thoughts about this 2021 recruiting class? I mean, is there anyone on this recruiting class that fans should be excited for come out of this class?
Yeah, as I discussed last week, they didn't get any of the top tier 4-star guys, but there's two guys that I keeping a tight eye on. Guy Clay Milton, he's a 6'3" pro style quarterback. He's ranked 19th in the nation. and he got offers from some good schools, Oregon and Colorado, also in the Pac-12. And after watching some of his tape, I think he's very versatile. He has a good arm, and I just think he's going to fit the system. I think he's a big play quarterback, and I think he will play very well here. Another guy I've been looking at is Tyrese Johnson, who's a 6'1" wide receiver from New Orleans, who also got offers from Colorado, Houston, and FSU. I like that guy. If you watch him on tape, like he has breakaway speed. Like he has the combination of breakaway speed and can catch over like multiple defenders. Like that guy, I think can take Arizona's receiving core to the next level.
Yeah, we probably should have shared our 2 picks before this show because you stole my 2 picks exactly. I mean, Clay Millen is a stud in my opinion. He's a 3-star quarterback. His tape is minimal just because he was playing behind his brother, who's now playing at Oregon. So, but in his 1 year where he started, I mean, he put up big numbers. And like you said, the kid can sling it, right? He's got a big arm. I think he's super athletic. He's got a very good playmaking ability. I mean, I was watching his huddle, and there was a play where he ran over to his right, juked back to his left, broke off a tackle, started running back to the right, and then like threw this 45-yard dart for a touchdown across the field. Like it was amazing. Play. So to kind of see that size and to just be able to do that at 6'3" is crazy. And I think that 6'3", 190 build really fits the Noel Mazzoni offense in that scheme a lot. Well, I know we talk about that a lot. The quarterback fits the Noel Mazzoni offense, but I think he really does. That kind of build reminds me a lot of Grant Gunnell.
Yeah, I saw him ranked as high as a 4-star guy on some different websites, and I mean he's gonna have to there's not a lot of tape out about him, and some could say he's underdeveloped, but he's gonna have a few years to grow because, as we talked about, Grant Gunnell is the quarterback of the future for the next 2 years or so, depending on his production. He could get drafted sooner.
Yeah, and I also want to talk about Tyrese Johnson real fast as well. I mean, that kid is also really, really good. I mean, I don't know how Arizona managed to snag him up. He had offers going everywhere, right? I think every other clip I saw of him, he was, mossing these dudes and taking these balls away from these tiny corners. So, I mean, like you said, he's got big breakaway speed. I mean, you saw him get into the open space and he was just gone, right?
Yeah, I think that guy can be the future of Arizona's receiving core, and I think that guy could be a high NFL draft pick if all goes well coming to Arizona. That guy has good size, good hands. Like I think that guy has it all. I'm actually surprised that Kevin Sumlin recruited him and could pull that off.
Yeah, he's got
great guy.
Yeah, he's got great hands. A lot of his clips were catching the ball with his hands. You don't really see that a lot from the recruits. They catch it with their chest a lot, but he was catching out in front with his hands. Really nice, soft hands. I mean, he's a legit recruit in my opinion. We talked about more offensive recruits, and they're bringing in the offense we think is already serviceable, and now we're bringing in more offensive talent. I mean, was there any position that you were disappointed to see that you wish Arizona would have brought in?
As much as I like these two offensive players, I just think the resources could have been used otherwise. I mean, not so much Tyrese Johnson, but I don't think we're in need of a quarterback, obviously. We need to focus on the defensive side of the ball, and for some reason Kevin Sumlin hasn't been able to recruit on that side at a high level so far. I mean, as we said, if he can't bring in some top level talent, his time could be up soon. It just doesn't look well. I mean, I was surprised when I saw that they were ranked 45th. I think that's very, very promising going into the season because the Pac-12, let alone, is one of the best conferences in football. So that was a good sign for me when I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, they have, I think, 20 recruits to the 2021 class. It definitely kind of feels more like a quantity over quality type thing, right? We don't have the big 4 or 5 stars, but you've got a boatload of 3 stars, which I think could help the depth, right?
Yeah, and the key is going to be if is Kevin Sumlin's probably looking at it. If a few of these lower tier guys can just blossom into superstars, then this team could go to the next level. And I think that's what he's counting on, because Arizona, as we said, isn't like known to be a top tier college football town. So he's trying to transition that by getting these lower tier guys, hopefully becoming stars.
Yeah, I think the depth is a good place to start when you're recruiting, and not necessarily trying to get 1 5 star and then just like kind of like that's your class right there, right? It's a lot. I think the strategy of getting a bunch of 3 stars and kind of guys just to kind of fill the depth chart in the roster is a good idea, because like you said earlier, it's just like, well, if I have 8 3 stars, one of these guys has to break out, right? So I mean, I do like that, and I think the linebacker core is fine where it is right now. Actually, as much as we want to kind of say how bad it is going to be next season, I think the years after that is going to be fine. Jabbar Triplett is going to come back. He tore his Achilles in the offseason. He's going to miss his freshman year, but I think he'll be back, and he can help the inside linebacker core a lot more. We talked about Jalen Harris coming off the edge. I think they do have a couple of solid linebackers, so I'm not surprised to see a lot of linebacker recruits coming out, but I would have liked to see some secondary recruits for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree with that. I mean, it's so hard to recruit inside the Pac-12 with USC, UCLA, Arizona State being close by. Like, it's very hard, and I just expected much better from Kevin Sumlin coming into Arizona.
Right. I mean, that was the reason why he came in here. That was the big thing, was that, oh, he's such a great recruiter and he's going to bring in all these guys. I mean, sixth in the Pac-12 is the highest ranking in the Kevin Sumlin era. I mean, that's cool for Arizona, but like the Kevin Sumlin expectation was we were supposed to have, a top 4, top 5 class, right? So
Yeah, and after attending his press conference, his first after all this Corona stuff happened last week, it's just like I wasn't very impressed with his attitude. I mean, coming like he was like talking about like getting all these recruits and like, but like it just doesn't seem like he has that edge that's going to take them to the next level. I don't believe he's right to take this team to the next level.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's easier to kind of sell Texas A&M a lot more than it is to play football at
Yeah,
Arizona.
yeah. I mean, Texas is one of the premier high school football states in the country. I mean, like the stadiums there, like every all those players are going to all these top schools. It's hard.
Yeah, I think definitely half the problem, I think, is just the brand of Arizona, and I just don't think Arizona has a brand really. And I think you could fault some of that on Kevin Sumlin. And, part of his job is to be here and to kind of sell the program and create this program into what it is. I mean, why would you want to come to Arizona when you can go play for Oregon or USC or UCLA?
Yeah,
Or,
that going back to it, that's why like when Tarish Johnson chose us over Florida State, like I'm surprised. I mean, but hopefully it can go well. I mean, you got to start somewhere, and I'm not expecting him to get 4 stars off the bat, but you got to get him eventually, or his time will be running out.
yeah, that's just my biggest thing is just that there's no brand at Arizona, right? And we haven't created a new brand, right? I mean, look at what ASU is doing. I mean, you could even make the argument that you would make the argument that ASU is a better football program right now, just because they have a better program. Those jerseys are so nice. Those black uniforms. I mean, they just totally blow Arizona's uniforms out of the water. And
Yeah, they have a great coach too.
yeah,
Great
the
history.
ASU brand is just so much better than Arizona's brand, and that ASU the thing that is important to know is that ASU brand wasn't there until Herm Edwards arrived, right? And he came in the same time as Kevin Sumlin did. So I mean, there's no
Yeah,
excuse as to why.
when he went to ASU, I thought that was a great hire, and I thought it was better than someone's hire. I think he's like being from where he's like came from. Like I think he connects to the players more and more relatable.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I want to kind of switch topics now, shift gears, and talk about our final topic of the day. And I know that we like to keep these shows talking about football, but this was something that we really wanted to talk about. Lou Olson unfortunately passed away at the age of 85 last night. And I mean, he was just kind of the brand of Arizona basketball. I mean, he was the reason why Arizona basketball is a big program now. I mean, can you just kind of put into perspective for people who don't really understand kind of the impact that Lou Olson had?
Yeah, Lute Olson, from everyone I've read, is he didn't just change Arizona basketball. He changed Tucson and the whole city, like in Arizona. Like what he did for this city, like changed everything. Even today, for like Coach Sean Miller said in a statement, like the way he looked at basketball was different, and being a player's coach, and just like it's just like he changed it for so many people. Like he was the coach for 25 years. I'll just run down some of his accolades. He made it to the Final Four 5 times, 11 regular season Pac-12 championships, 4 Pac-10 championships as it was the Pac-10. And then in 1997, when they beat Kentucky and they won the national championship, like that, which was Arizona's last basketball national championship. Like, and for so many players, like he just blossomed into later NBA like champions and stars, like guys like Andre Iguodala, who was a Finals MVP with the Warriors, 3-time champion, like Steve Kerr, multiple times, like he won championships with the Bulls and the Warriors. Jason Terry champion, Gilbert Arenas longtime NBA vet, like one message that stuck out to me was when Channing Frye posted a message on Twitter, and quote, he said, "I owe my whole basketball career to Lute Olson," and that just said something different, like that he just changed it on a different level. Like there's great coaches, but like he was just a great person, and that's what made it different.
I mean, he is the reason why Arizona is a big basketball program now. He completely changed the outlook of Arizona. And I mean, I think I'm a little too young to kind of, you know,
Yeah,
understand the impact that he had, because all of the stories that I've heard of Lou Olson is just it's all stories, right? You know, I never got to watch Lou Olson coach or do his thing. So I think it really kind of sunk in for me last night when I was creating a story for the Daily Wildcat, and I was putting everybody's quotes together and everything that they said on social media, and I would add a bunch, and then I would close my laptop and I would start scrolling through my phone, and I would see another one. I'd be like, oh, I better add this one. So I go back on my laptop and I add it again, and then I close my laptop and I start scrolling through my feed again, and I'd see even more, and it's just like, oh man, I better add these too. So it was amazing just to see the outpour of everything that they had to say. And it wasn't just Arizona and the Tucson as well.
yeah,
It was the entire basketball community. I mean, I saw Isaiah Thomas say that he had always wanted to play for Lou Olson. Isaiah Thomas, of course, played for Washington. You had Gary Payton, who
yeah.
played college at Oregon State. He was, praising Lou Olson and saying how great of a coach he was. I mean, he just had that impact on everybody in the college basketball world, not just in Arizona.
Yeah, and like he did have that next level impact, and just hearing players like Sean Miller also like saying when he was around the team or at games the past few years, like he just brought a different energy, like knowing he was there. And like I haven't been the biggest fan knowingly of Sean Miller, but like I think a lot of people still to this day like attend Arizona and come here for the basketball program because of Lute Olson and because of that championship pedigree. Like one key stat I'll point out that I saw is that Arizona ranked in the top 25 341 times out of 431 possible like appearances,
Insane. Insane.
which is just incredible. Is like, and I'm not gonna fault Sean Miller because following up such a legendary national recognized coach, it's very hard to come after that. And he has been good. But Lute Olson just touched so many people in a different way it's just hard to put into words.
Yeah, I mean, 23 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances. I mean, that is just incredible. And you just talked about Sean Miller for a second. I mean, it is kind of hard to live up to those expectations following Lou Olson. But I mean, yeah, I'll say it one more time. Lou Olson was Arizona basketball. I mean, he would, the fans were just chanting his name, and they were chanting his wife's name in the stadium as well. I mean, he just had this impact on the Tucson community. It was amazing to see the response come out last night and kind of support him. And I've seen pictures of people laying flowers and stuff outside his statue outside of McHale. I mean, it was a beautiful thing, and I think it really is hard to kind of comprehend and really tell everyone just how big of an impact he had on Arizona and the world of basketball.
Yeah, and it's just great to see that somebody from here in Tucson, Arizona, is being nationally recognized, like all over the world, like from being like in the Basketball Hall of Fame, being inducted in 2002, being in the College Basketball Hall of Fame, inducted 2 separate times in 2006 and in 2019, and being like the 7-time Pac-12 Coach of the Year. Like, he just literally did it all. Like, he is one of the greatest college basketball coaches of all time, and that's just the facts.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we are unfortunately out of time here. Actually, did you have anything else to say, Ryan, before we cut this off?
I just want to say that, like, Arizona basketball will never be the same, and he just left an outlasting impact that touched so many. It's just a special thing.
We are unfortunately out of time here today. I want to reiterate to you guys to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And also, we finally have a regular schedule. We're here live every single week, every Friday at 4 p.m. So make sure you tune into Wildcat Dash. That's every Friday at 4 p.m. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And also visit our website at www.dashsports.tv. I'm Jacob Mennuti. Ryan Wohl signing off. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.